live. I've still got 15 seconds here.
We're at starting soon now.
Ooh. All right. I think we are good to go. We're looking good. Guys, I hope everybody can hear us okay. Welcome to the stream. My name is Dan, and today on the show we have DrLupo, who needs no introduction. However, Dr. Lupo, if you would like to introduce yourself, and if anyone has been living under a rock for the last few years and has not heard of you, please feel free to take this time to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, so hey, for anybody that doesn't know, Dr. Lupo, my first name's Ben. I've been playing. I feel like this is one of those meetings where like you introduce yourself, you have to include the amount of time you've spent addicted to the game. But I've been playing since I want to say 2017. Actually, Grimm's was the one that inspired me to start playing this game because I watched him on a factory run. It was one of those, what the hell is he doing? Like, what is this game kind of things? And now I'm probably 5,000 or 6,000 hours deep. Which is admittedly kind of terrifying. But I streamed on Twitch for a really long time, and then I took a deal with YouTube. So sadly, no drops on my channel over here, but you guys get them over there, which is good too. And I've been enjoying the experience. It's cool to see that Tarkov is popular on this platform as well, regardless of where you're streaming it. The game has been. This is one of those games that I started playing and really, really wanted it to go nuts. And then a handful of wipes ago, they started doing drops, and I think at that point everything just kind of took off. And now you've got people like Landmark that will get 15,000 plus. You see Pestily have 200,000 viewers during drops times. It's crazy how much the game has grown. But I love the game because it's methodical and it's different than every. You play other shooters, right? And they don't give you the same like adrenaline rush like this one does. And Tarkov has something, I think, because of that very few games, at least in my opinion, can capture right now. And it has definitely gotten its hooks in me, and I've been enjoying the process the entire time. I think it's a great game, and I'm happy that I get to play it.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Tarkov for me, it's spoiled every other game. Like I can't
ruin them.
Exactly. I'm playing something else, and I'm thinking to myself, I really wish I was playing Tarkov right now. And I'm trying something new.
I know.
I absolutely agree. Now I know that it was a long time ago, but if you can remember back to your first ever raid, the first time you ever set foot in Tarkov, please describe it. Let us know how it went. Do you remember the emotions that you went through at the time?
I think it was probably the same that a lot of people experience the first time they step into this game, is that it's an extreme amount of anxiety because you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to get out, you maybe you grab some tasks or you didn't realize you had to grab them from traders, and you step into. I think my first raid was on customs. As I think probably most people start there as well. I think at the beginning, when you select the map, it shows the difficulty relative to your level. I think that was probably the only one that didn't say insane. And so, naturally you're led to go to customs first. And you'd have to look. I might have a YouTube video of my very first raid. In fact, I'm gonna have to look after stream and see if there's something out there that has like the leftovers, the remnants of it. But the game is it's punishing for new players in I think one of the best ways. Because for me, I like challenging games. I like inventory. We'll call it collecting. My chat will probably call it hoarding. But like that kind of stuff is a big draw for me. And so going into the first raid, I very distinctly remember not knowing what the hell to bring in, and so you just kind of go in with whatever you have at first. And that first engagement, you just let it rip because you're used to being able to full auto in other games without having to worry about it. The gun kicks all over the place, and suddenly you're shooting the sky, and then you're dead. And it's like one of those, okay, well, that's clearly not the way that this is supposed to go the first time, right? So let's try it again. And it's that loop gets you. So I'm sure out of the gate, like I said, I'm gonna have to try and find it. That first raid, if it goes just right, which I think for a lot of people it does, even if you die immediately, it makes you want to go back and try again.
Absolutely. And I think for a lot of people, it could go either way. Some people will go in with just their hatchet or their knife and I know of people who've took their whole like EOD stash into their first raid. They've got the M4 and the body armor, and they're like, they're ready for war. They deploy and they're like, oh, now what? And of course, as a new player, I'm sure we've all been there. As a new player, you the first guy you see, it's just you get laser beamed. And you're just like, oh, okay, I'm dead. And then you think, oh, well, I can just take my M4 back out. And then you've lost it. And you're like, oh, okay, so I don't get to... So this stuff in my stash, like if I die, I lose that. I don't have that anymore. And, then that's when the anxiety starts creeping in.
Fear kicks in right out of the gate. Exactly. You got people that are sitting on like giant piles of stuff that they don't want to bring in because they're like, if I bring this in, I'm going to lose it. I try to tell my chat that a lot. And I am I'm guilty of maybe holding on to a couple too many things every once in a while, not too often, but I always tell my chat, if you have gear that's sitting there, it's either collecting dust and doing nothing for you, or you should use it. So you might as well just use it.
Absolutely, great advice. I try to say the exact same thing. If it's just staying in your stash, and it's going to stay there for the whole wipe cycle, you've already kind of lost it because you're not getting anything out of it. Absolutely right. And I'm glad that you share the same opinion for sure. And there's a lot of new players, especially now, especially back with the patch 12, like the big boom with the drops. So many new players, and they're all asking, how do I get over gear fear? How do I progress?
You just send it. You just have to send it. If you sit on it and look at it and it does nothing for you. And actually, it's funny saying this. I know in my inventory right now, I have a slick and a hex grid that I haven't used yet. And they're just waiting. And now I'm thinking to myself, mid-conversation with you, why am I just waiting? Why don't I just grab those and run them? Because if anything, it's going to give me the ability to survive stuff. And it's that like desire to hold on to it, almost like the one ring in Lord of the Rings. You want to hold on to my precious, right? And I don't want to let it go. But if you're not using it, it's not doing. You might as well have already lost it. Just go vendor it. You have to use the stuff that you have, because otherwise it's not doing anything for you.
It's just taking space in your stash. That slick or that hex grid, that's 9 slots. So that's like 9 pairs of pliers, or something that you might need for the hideout, for example. Absolutely. 9
pairs of pliers. I see you've been getting good drops. Cool, good.
I've got some here, in fact. So I'm ready to go. But yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you said the same thing. So if you could describe Tarkov, I know you've already said that it's punishing, especially to new players. But if you was to describe the game to someone who might be interested in trying it, what would be how would you kind of describe the game? How would you sell it to somebody and say, hey, you should come and try this game?
Okay. Without being overly sarcastic, which is like one of my main ways of speaking. I apologize if anybody catches on to that. The game is a challenging, gritty survival shooter experience with an incredibly steep learning curve. But when you climb that mountain, it becomes one of the most rewarding experiences, I think, in gaming right now. There's a lot about it that obviously, and I say these things knowing full well that on stream, I'm often a critic of the game too. So I do want to give a shout out to BattleState for still having me on, even though I do often, I talk a little bit of trash about the game, but it's because I love it and I want to see it grow and flourish. But I digress. The game is a different, it's a unique shooter experience in that it's not a battle royale. It's not just about, going for PvP all the time. There's PvE to it. There's a teammate experience. You have a cooperative experience. And actually, I will say with the addition of VoIP, which I was dead wrong about, and hats off to BSG for creating a really good VoIP experience thus far. I've seen obviously some negative stuff, but like my experience has been really good so far. So it's anecdotal, but the game is like, it kind of covers so many facets of shooters right now because you kind of do everything. There's RPG elements to it. You have all sorts of stat tracking. Gun nuts love the game because you can build all sorts of crazy stuff with different attachments. You can make your weapons look like friggin' clown cars, or they could be super sleek. You could do the fact that you can do all those things makes you feel like you are the time that you put into the game, which is one of the most important commodities that we have, is our time, right? The time you put into the game, if you enjoy it, you will really, really enjoy it, because it does let you do so many different things. And I think not many games, like you look at Call of Duty, like Warzone is crazy popular, right? Or Fortnite or CS:GO or whatever. They all do the thing that they're doing really, really well, but it's difficult for them to cross into the genre of shooter that Tarkov fills. I mean, you look at Hazard Zone. Hats off to EA for trying, and DICE, but when they say that Hazard Zone was inspired by Tarkov, it's more like Hazard Zone is like the what's that fizzy drink? I make fun of it on stream all the time. It's like a seltzer drink, a LaCroix. It's like, did you ever have a LaCroix, Dan?
I've never had a LaCroix, but I want one now. I want to try it.
No, LaCroix is garbage. And that's what I'm saying, is that it tries really hard to be a fruit drink, just like Hazard Zone tried really hard to be Tarkov, but it's not Tarkov, right? And so this game does what a lot of games wish that they could do, and that's be a dedicated survival shooter experience that will beat you up until you know what you're doing, and when you finally get it, that it is better than anything else that I play.
There you go. There you have it. If that hasn't convinced you to come and try and to come and check out the game, then I don't know what will. I certainly couldn't give a stronger pitch than that, for sure. I absolutely agree.
It's so good.
It is 100% true. There is no other game that gives this experience. It is, when I speak to other people about, playing Tarkov and that sort of thing, and Nikita, COO, BattleState Games, for those that don't know, like he's even said himself, like it's not designed to be this traditional fun experience. Like when we think about having fun,
he specifically has said it's not supposed to be fun.
I know, right? He's saying like you're not supposed to be having fun, guys. It's an experience. It's like I know it sounds cheesy, and I'm going to get a lot of stick for this, I think, but it's kind of like Tarkov's kind of a lifestyle in a way. If you're in, like you're all in with Tarkov. It grabs you, and it's like, right, you're either loyal to me or we're going to have trouble. And it's such a fantastic, compelling and exciting, but anxious. And like you say, you nailed it perfectly when you say, when you finally get it, and I'm like 8,500 hours in at the moment, somewhere around that sort of time.
Okay.
And I still feel like I don't get it.
Even for top level players, as you play the game more and more, you'll learn little spots you can shoot from, and angles you can peek at. And as you start to I think one of the things that higher end players, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong, but being able to know position of your opponents based solely on audio in buildings, stuff like that takes time to learn and memorize, right? But then when you finally get it and you're sitting outside 3-story dorms and customs and you hear just the right sound inside, you're like, oh, that guy's on the second floor in this room, and you know exactly where he is because you've absorbed that information for so long. Those are the kind of things you still pick up later and later in your game time, right? And it's crazy how much information you absorb and can really put to use. And I tell chat that too, is like one of the biggest skills in this game, I think, that people don't realize is literally just experience, just playing the game enough that you can memorize those kind of things, because that map knowledge, that in the seed experience that you get from just putting time in, is invaluable when it comes to skill.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. The more you learn, the kind of more you realize what you don't know as well. Like when you're first thrown into Tarkov, it's very intense. There's a lot going on. You need to find it is. It's extremely overwhelming. You're trying to find your extracts. You've got a timer in the top right-hand corner, and you're like, right, I need to get out. I need to survive. I've got these items for my quest that I've been trying to get for a long time. And once you get past that initial learning curve, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Like I know my way around. I can, I can build my weapons. I can do this. I can do that. But the more that you play, you kind of start learning. You're like, wait a minute. Actually, these guys are far better than I am. How did he hear me? How did he know where I was? You kind of go through, you go through in your mind like, oh, that's how he figured out where I was. That's where he heard that sound. Like I stepped on metal, and he instantly knew. Okay, there's like the hood of a car or something like on the floor, and I accidentally stepped on it, and he knew, okay, this guy's outside this side, and he throws a grenade, or he goes for the pre-fire, or he peeks, and you start to really like open your mind, and it's quite. I'm not sure if this is the right way to say it. Like easy to learn, but hard to master. I wouldn't say that it's easy to learn at all. It's like
really fully easy to learn. Yeah,
it's like hard to learn, hard to master, like even harder to master. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and yeah, absolutely fantastic insight there.
I was gonna say, I think that it's very difficult to learn, but almost impossible to master. And the fact that that can be said, and we're looking past, potential desync issues in audio, just like when everything's working right, everything's firing all cylinders, and you get a really solid raid. Even then, the skill ceiling is like, if sometimes it feels like it's infinite because the number of things that you can learn and you can master, and the knowledge you can absorb from the game, and how to handle situations, and how different weapons handle, and what to do, and like even moving the damn loot, Dan, is a skill in itself, which helps elevate skill ceilings. I look at it the same way I look at, and I know Chad's probably gonna laugh at this, and just bear with me, please, but Fortnite is different than other shooters, other BRs, because it's not just a shooting game, it's a building game. Tarkov is not just a shooter, it's a survival game, it's strategy. You also have to be you got to be a friggin' Tetris god sometimes to fit all the crap in off the guys that you take out, right? And without that, the value of the things that you can get out goes up, because you are better at quickly moving the loot, right? You're better at building the inventory on the fly very quickly, and that in itself is like another level of skill. It's another skill ceiling that another thing that elevates the skill ceiling, that makes this game, the drive to get good at it, so strong, because you know that you could still improve no matter how good you are.
For sure. I'm glad that you mentioned that, actually, because it's just come to mind when I'm looting, and when I'm taking things, and thinking about what I'm going to take and what I'm going to leave, over time. And I know that this was publicized quite well as an idea, or as like a meta. But thinking of it this way, price per slot. So, for example, you have this really expensive thing, but it takes up like 9 slots, and you think to yourself, well, that's 100K. It's about 9K a slot. Okay. And then you have like gold chains, which are like 25K a slot, and you think to yourself, it's a lot lighter. It's easier to hide. I can, put it in my container, or I can put it in my pocket, which gives me room for my magazines, which gives me, and yeah, absolutely. There's so much to learn, and there's so much more going on than just, okay, click heads. And of course, yeah, you might be great at clicking heads. You might have the best aim in the world, but when it comes to like knowing, okay, this is where the task item is, this is the shortest way to my extract. This extract needs money, and I know that I can loot those safes and maybe build some up to get some to get out if I need to. It's so detailed. It's so like massively.
I think that is part of what attracts people to the game too, and I think that's also part of what will deter other developers from going after the same space, is because you have to have, for the level, the hook that this game really gets you with, you have to have such a scale of depth that is difficult for other developers, it seems, to put in the time and energy to try and create a similar experience. You even brought up, on top of just being able to fit the loot into your backpack, you literally knowing the way that the market is playing around certain items at a given time is like a skill in itself. Is knowing, I know this FP100 filter right now is going for 110K, and in 9 slots, like you said, that's only this much per slot. But I also could pick up, this bronze line and 3 gold chains, and that's significantly more money for the same space. So knowing the value of things as it fluctuates as time goes on. Because like even after the first 7 days of a wipe, the value of stuff shifts, right? Suddenly Salewas, which were crazy pricey at the beginning, are basically down to vendor value with therapists, and having that knowledge too. That's what I'm saying, is that there's so many things about the game that keep you coming back because you know that you can learn more and more and more. That's what gets me to keep on playing, is that the desire to absorb. Now I know we moved away from the how do you convince somebody that has not played to play the game, but man, just throw this on top, right? It's just another piece of the puzzle of like what keeps players engaged is the desire to learn more about it.
Absolutely. There's so many skills involved as well, from like marksmanship, being an economist, survival instructor, learning how to camouflage yourself, learning how to move, like being knowing how to traverse terrain safely. There's so
wild.
much going on. It's absolutely wild. And yeah, I'm so glad that we share the same kind of love for the complexities of the game, as do many players. Absolutely. Let's move on to the next question. I mean, I think we could speak about this all day long. We could sing Tarkov's praises, but unfortunately, we do have to move along. So, if you could add any feature at all, you could be Nikita for the day and say, "This is going in the game tomorrow." What would it be and why?
Look at that, any feature. Okay, can I give 2 answers? Because there's 2 that I like the idea of very much. What I would love to see. So the first one, and I only say 2 because it's difficult. I know I'm like ignoring the fact you said 1, so I apologize for that. I'm just going off my own page. Okay, so feature number 1: give me the ability to relocate bodies after they're killed, because especially in a game like this, when positioning is so crucial and using your cover to your advantage. Granted, make it slow, make it so you can't shoot, that kind of thing, but being able to like pick up a player that you've killed and move them off the road or whatever would be phenomenal. Or hiding your friends if they've been killed, that kind of thing. I like the idea of that, and I've seen chat talk about that a bunch of times, and I think it makes sense given the way that the game plays. There is risk to looting a body in the open, but there's also risk to moving it, and it should be one of those things that if you're really quick, like being able to move that, I think would be a huge bonus to people that maybe you have an unlucky position. I know trigger discipline is huge, so if you're like, maybe I either wait to kill this guy when he's in the grass, maybe his body will end up in a hidden area, or you're just like shoot from the hip as fast as you can and you kill somebody out in the open. There's benefit to both sides, but I think being able to relocate still has the amount of pressure that would be put on the player when they're looting the body in the open, but it gives you the opportunity to make a smart play and move it. Maybe your friend has coverage on you, that kind of thing, while you're doing it. I think that is a big one for players that I've seen from my community quite a bit. But the other one, and I think for me, in terms of increasing my desire to play and be able to learn, one thing that I've suggested before, and Nikita, listen, hear me out, is maybe make an intelligence center level 3 bonus in your hideout, the ability to sit down at it and watch back through what would be like drone footage, or like if your PMCs are assumed to have like a chest camera, like military, police, those kind of people have on like a vest cam, where you can watch through a replay of the raid after the server has closed. So it saves like a file of it, a replay file with all the positionings of everybody, and you can watch, because a lot of people are like, well, I want kill cams, and I don't think kill cams are realistic for this game. And plus, if it happens immediately, if it were like Call of Duty, it would give you the ability to call out where other people are located. That doesn't fit with the theme of the game. But what if your intelligence center level 3 gave you the ability to hack like a drone, quote unquote, in the lore, and you can watch through a raid recap from above, so you can see where people moved, and then you can learn the pathing and spawn locations for players earlier in the game, rather than having to look things up on a map. You don't want that second pane of glass is frustrating to have to look at sometimes, when I would rather be able to see the things in the game in like a lore, like a built-in function. I think would be really, really sick. and it's something that I hope that they pursue in the future. I have to admit, I don't know if that's a thing that's been talked about before, and if it has, Nikita, bump that shit up the list. But I think it's a great idea because it gives you the ability to learn more about how to operate on each map.
Absolutely. Let's tackle these in order. Dragon bodies. 100% agree. You've taken a guy out. He's in the road. What are you going to do? Realistically, if you was in that situation, the first thing that you're going to do, you're going to assess the situation. Right, this guy's in a dangerous location. Okay, got a full alleyway. There's arcs of fire on this location. Am I going to take this guy's body somewhere else? Yes. If you decide that you're going to want to search the guy, okay, I'm going to move this guy first before I start rummaging through his pockets. So you hook up your line, drag the body out of the way, get him into cover. Right, we've got some time here. Maybe post a couple of your teammates on Overwatch. Guys, I'm going to be a couple of minutes. I'm just going to search this body real quick whilst we're in cover. Happy days, no problem. You go through, and I totally agree. It would bring so much more like tactical awareness and tactical decision making to the game. I think we've all been in that situation, especially on Lighthouse. I don't know how much you've been enjoying the new map.
Oh, it's like the best map, dude. It's so much fun. I love it.
It's crazy.
There's so many opportunities for insane plays. The water treatment facility, the east side up on those the north side up in the mountains is like perfect snipe position. I think the other day, like maybe the first week or two after we were in there, I got one of the rangefinders, slapped that thing on a sniper rifle. I hit an almost 700-meter headshot on one of the turret guys. Like, it's incredible. It's such a great experience. I know that some people have had some frustrations with nighttime and certain players not necessarily playing fairly and that kind of thing, but it's because the map is such a high loot zone that if you get a really good raid there, you get good positioning and you get a really solid spawn. You go check the chalets, pile all that loot in your backpack, and get the hell out. And it's really high pressure. You've got long range. You've got some up close and personal in the little shoreline in the ruined town. It's a great map. And this is coming from somebody that I fell in love with Reserve when they put it in the game, and before that, Interchange was my main. But Lighthouse is friggin' unmatched right now, dude. It's so good.
It is. It's a fantastic location, and you'll know yourself. You've been enjoying it a lot. You'll know that there's the main road, which is the curse of a lot of player scavs at the moment, especially because a lot of us PMCs, we're out there going for scav kills on that main road.
On that, yeah.
Just tasking, bro. And you'll know yourself. You get a decent kill. You can see that he's all looted up. Maybe he's got a decent weapon or like a big backpack, and you're thinking to yourself, I'd love to go and grab this guy's loot, but I know for a fact that I managed to get him from the mountains. If I go down to that location myself, I'm going to become a target myself. I don't want to do that. So then you instantly disregard that body. However, if we had the option to move bodies, you could say, right, Steve, I need you to keep Overwatch. Bob, come with me. We're going to go grab this body, drag it out of the way, into a bush or behind a car or behind cover, and then go to work, searching the bag and taking the loot. Absolutely. I love that suggestion, and it's something that I've spoken about with my guys quite a lot.
It would be so good for situations like that, and being able to if anything, it adds more utility to group play too, because I do know a lot of people that like to play solo, and it would give another benefit. Like, you have someone to cover you while you move a body off the road. I think it's great. It would be amazing.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, in the raid series as well, if you guys haven't watched the Tarkov raid series, I speak about it a lot because it's my favorite thing to watch at the moment. I believe it's one of the USEC guys. I think it was a USEC. It could have been a bear. Forgive me. He literally, clips on to his teammate, drags him out of the way. The guy's kicking his legs, trying to give his buddy some help moving his body, and he's like got his pistol, and he's like, just swearing in Russian, and it's absolutely awesome. So fantastic suggestion for sure. And suggestion number 2, after raid replays, maybe a report from one of the traders. So say, for example, we know that there's a lot of CCTV cameras around Tarkov, and Mechanic, he's into his technology. Perhaps he and those Wi-Fi cameras as well that he gets you to plant. unless I was Skier. Forgive me, guys.
He's got the pieces already. But
Yeah,
you're
it's
right. I
still
mean,
there.
he's got the hook is there already for integrating something like that into the game and having it be. I think the most important thing is having it fit the theme of the game, because you don't want anything to seem jarring for people that are really big into the lore of Tarkov, that want everything to fit with how the game was, how the story of the game was written. You want something that fits, and I think that fits because Mechanic, he does sell 317 euros. He sells the Wi-Fi cameras, so like the idea, the concept is in the game already, at least to some extent. Maybe that you have like a vest cam that take up the slot of the equipment slot, and if you don't want to run the compass, you can instead run like a vest cam that will record the footage, and then you can watch the footage back after the raid, because preppers, guys, whoever you insured with, goes to pick up your stuff, and since that it's like the little black box on a plane, it can't get looted, right? And so he can take that, his guys bring back the vest cam thing, he gets the footage out and gives it to you back in your hideout, and you could watch back through it after the fact. I think that would be really, really cool. I
agree. And just to correct myself earlier, I think it's Skier's task. Informed means armed, just in case anybody
yes
comes to kick my ass about that.
I was just saying, you're gonna have people knocking on your door. Dan, what the
hell? Actually, but no, seriously, I think, and just from like a out of universe effect as well, I think it will help people sort of come to terms with how people killed them, because we've all been in that situation. We're like, how did that guy kill me? How did he know I was there? And I know it's a little bit of a taboo subject, and I don't want to touch on it too much, but of course online games do have unsavory players, right? Players that are
100%.
perhaps not playing by the rules, right? I think it would help a lot to kind of help Tarkov players come to terms with, okay, he heard me when I was moving, he heard me shuffling around, he heard me sneaking or crawling, or he heard me medding, and he knew that was an opportunity for him to push, for example. And perhaps he got a lucky shot. He's like, oh, I came around the corner and I was head eyes instantly, like he must be a cheater. But watching that footage back, and perhaps from their perspective, or however, if it was to be implemented, however it would work, you could then go, he magged him 15 shots before he managed to get one lucky shot on my face. I wasn't wearing a face shield. My face was unprotected. You can see his weapons going everywhere. And you think, actually, you know what? That was a fair kill. And I think it will help people kind of come to terms more with dying in Tarkov, and it will help people sort of rationalize, like, not everybody out there is doing dodgy stuff. Like, there's a lot of luck with Tarkov, with the way the weapons work. There's a lot of, getting hit by grenades that bounce off a table leg that rolls in through the door, and you don't hear it because, and I think it's a fantastic suggestion, and I do believe it's been spoken about before as well. It's something that hopefully will come in the future. And think of the content as well. Never mind, the gameplay. Like, think of the content, with free cams and being able to go around and get different shots of the same.
It would be incredible.
Action. It would be absolutely awesome. So absolutely fantastic suggestions. I love them and totally agree. Now, speaking of features, is there anything in the game currently that you're not a massive fan of? So let's say, I don't know, a mechanic like recoil, or maybe the way grenades work, for example, inertia. Is there anything that you would change? If you could change like one feature, what would it be and why?
Do you remember when we had, it was like a week or something last wipe, where the camera recoil was bugged and like super low, and it was just the guns that were kicking?
Yeah, I remember.
I loved that. I think one of my biggest frustrations with, like, I'm fine picking up a scav gun on a trash run, that kind of thing. My chat's screaming about Santa. Yeah, Santa can go to hell. God, what an ass. But I think one of my biggest, outside of those little, like, those, it's obviously an event related thing. The camera recoil that comes with lower quality weapons can sometimes be one of the most frustrating things, because I feel like there are certain weapons, when you shoot them, your PMC suddenly is like looking at the sky, and I don't understand why. That I think needs to get toned down. That's a big one for me. I know I got people in my chat that are saying fix the audio, Santa, impact nades. Yeah, I hate impact nades too. I think everybody does, but you can get them, so you might as well use them, dude. I know that's gonna frustrate people, and they suck to go up against, but you might as well just start picking them up and chucking them at people. Chat, just fire away, just send it. But the visual recoil, the way that it is in the game right now, for me, is a little dramatic. It's a little too much, and I think that it probably needs to get toned down.
I agree. And thinking about this system, I remember quite vividly being in factory, second floor in the lockers area, in the showers area, and I had the Saiga. I was going for shotgun kills or something like that. I think I was running like AP20, which has got like plus 50% recoil, so it was already pretty powerful, right? And I explicitly remember trying to engage a PMC, and I'm like, bam, 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 firing off this 20-round drum, thinking I'm Rambo, and my PMC starts looking up, and it's like the weapon's like, it's almost as if it's like pushing his head back, but he's not kind of following. It can, I agree.
It doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. You're like firing your weapon, but your PMC's head's being knocked back as if it was connected to your forehead, sort of thing. You're like, oh, and I agree. I think with some weapons, like it's fairly unnoticeable. Like you say, it's usually with weapons that don't have like a stock on it, or like a scav weapon where you're firing it and you're like, ah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a really interesting suggestion, or a really interesting change that you would make. I think we've all experienced, if you haven't experienced it, guys, and you want to enjoy some crazy camera recoil, grab a Saiga 12 gauge, fold the stock, and go ham. All right, just
let it rip,
and you will see your PMC starts, looking up to the ceiling. Really interesting, suggestion. So that was 5 questions about Tarkov and your relationship with Tarkov. Mm-hmm. I think it's time to learn a little bit more about you as a person, as a content creator, and let's learn a little bit more about DrLupo, right?
All right.
So if you do find yourself with free time, and of course, content creation is extremely time consuming. Of course, it is not just sitting at the computer playing games. There's so much more going on behind the scenes with regards to making videos, or networking and organizing things like this, and taking part in events. There's so much going on. If you find yourself with free time, what do you find yourself doing?
So for anybody who doesn't know, I have a 6-year-old kid, my son Charlie, and his approach to gaming is so much different than mine right now, because he's growing up in a world where the internet has always been a thing and tablets are everywhere, and he has access to all that stuff. But being able to experience gaming for the first time vicariously through him is probably one of my favorite off-stream things to do. He plays a bunch of, he's a kid, so he's not going crazy with he's not playing Call of Duty or anything like that. He's only 6. But introducing him to Minecraft and showing him Fortnite, and he's watched me play games like Diablo, which is super funny because that's kind of gory, but the details are really, really small, so he doesn't really notice it. He plays a game called Donut County on my Xbox a lot right now, and just like that kind of thing. Being a dad when I don't have to be. I love being on camera. I love my job. As frustrating as it can get sometimes and overwhelming, there's a lot of anxiety and stress that comes with it. Being able to decompress and just like shut that stuff off and have someone, because he has been one of the biggest, he keeps me grounded, right? When I'm done with stream, he doesn't care how many viewers I had. He doesn't care, if I did really well in a game. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just wants daddy to sit down and play some video games with it. He plays Forza a lot right now. He's got I got the Logitech steering wheel and stuff and the pedals, and I've been setting that up for him. So he'll play, he's been playing Forza Horizon 5 on my Xbox a ton. He loves that. But yeah, being a dad is like number one, right? You got to try and set a good example, and depending on and with how the world is, sometimes it could be tough, but it has been being a father is one of the most rewarding things I think I've ever experienced.
It's incredible. And starting off with steering wheel and pedals at 6 years old, like, watch this space.
Drive by the time he's 10, man. It's gonna be crazy. I'm a little scared.
Gonna be driving you around.
I'm okay with that.
How's he been finding? Not to go off topic, but how's he been finding Forza? How's he been finding playing the game and that sort of thing?
So I've been slowly pulling like the difficulty, like how the games like that like to at the base level like to keep you on the track. They keep you on the line, that kind of thing. I've been slowly removing over time the assists that it puts in place, and he's been getting better and better and being able to play with those. He's never driven any of the cars manual, although it does have the paddle shifters on it, right? But he's actually pretty good. The thing about my kid, though, Dan, is that he is an effing clown. He's like never serious. And so he'll start a race, or like there's a mode in there called the Eliminator, which is basically battle royale driving. And out of the gate, this dude will cut off into the grass and just do donuts until the wall starts to come in, and then he starts to give a crap. But before that, it is nonstop hitting trees, hitting walls, driving down sidewalks, that kind of thing, and just laughing the entire time. So he does really well when he wants to do well, Dan, but when he doesn't give a shit, then he'll drive like a maniac.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that he's been enjoying it. Forza's a great game, and I'd recommend it to anybody looking. It can be as fun, or it can be as serious, with friends, or competitive as you like. No, that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm so glad that you've mentioned family is like, first, and that's the one thing that keeps you grounded, keeps you human, right? And
it has to be. Yeah, it has to be. Otherwise, I've seen a lot of people in the content creator space get absorbed into numbers. And I've fallen for the same trap. It's not an easy thing to do because you're constantly sitting in the spotlight, right? And you're constantly, whether you have one viewer or 1,000 viewers or however many, you still have public opinion looking at you and people trying to apply pressure. Not that they mean it's not like it's a negative thing unless you let it become a negative thing. And I've seen people let themselves slip into that trap of like constantly trying to please everybody, and that is an impossible task. You will literally never be able to do it. Even this interview right now, Dan, I know that there's going to be people that are like, why is Lupo on there? That kind of thing. And that's fine. Like at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I can't do anything about it. I'm just here to talk about Tarkov and have a good time. And I've seen content creators lose themselves to the pressure and the negativity. And like I said, I've fallen for it too, and it can be difficult to climb out of sometimes. And it'll leave a sour taste in people's mouths sometimes. And that's just part of the job at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's one thing that we don't really speak. I don't find myself speaking about that often. Especially during the stream and stuff like that, because if you're playing Tarkov or you're playing Forza or whatever it is that you're doing, you're sort of putting on a show in a way, and people come to have a good time. And this is one of those subjects that's extremely, extremely serious, and it's something that is on, I believe anyway, like the forefront of every content creator's mind. And you finish your stream, you get a nice little email saying like, hey, this is how your stream went, and you're kind of fighting with yourself. You're like, do I read this email that tells me how many viewers I had? Do I look at my average views? Was it 5 less than yesterday? What have I done wrong? Why aren't people coming to my stream anymore? It's so much pressure. There is. You're absolutely right. There's so much pressure to grow as well. There's always this like, we have to grow, we have to do better. We have to be up on numbers. We have to be doing this and that. But I think sometimes it's really easy to forget. Like, you just, when you're streaming, you just want people to have a good time. You want yourself to have a good time, and you want you want everybody in the chat to have a good time, or whoever's watching the video or the VOD. It's really easy to concentrate on those numbers and think, oh no, I'm 7.4 average viewers down from last month. Like, who cares, man? Just as long as you're having a good time, and you're able to do everything that you want to do, and you can, if you're doing it professionally, as long as you're able to pay the bills and you're able to put food on the table and that sort of thing, you really do need to be careful. The way that you describe it as being a trap and falling into it.
100%. I will say this too. I want to point this out. That email you described that you get after each stream? They don't send those over here on YouTube, Dan. I don't even have to look at it. Easy. Easy.
Ooh. I'm just going to take a sip of my juice there.
Yep. Just let that sit.
We'll think about that one. No, but on a serious note, I'm so glad that you mentioned it, and I'm it impresses me so much as well that you mention those of us, because nobody starts off with 1,000 viewers, right? There's a lot of people that will go through their whole streaming lives and they'll never hit 1,000 viewers, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But we need to think like those of you that have got 2, 3, you're trying to get affiliate. You need that 3 average views and stuff like that. If you have a good time, if you market yourself intelligently, it will happen, man. And try and enjoy those small goals as you go. Don't think, oh, I really want to be partner. Like I need those partner numbers and stuff like that. You just set those goals every week. Like my goal, for example, every day is like, did we have a great stream? Yes or no? No? Why did we not have a great stream? Oh, because maybe I was in a bad mood that day, because I don't know, I burnt my breakfast or something,
Honestly, yeah, no, I don't blame
you. Do you know what I'm saying?
You burn your breakfast, you're setting yourself up for failure that day. I'm just gonna put that out there.
The breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You know what they say?
100%.
All right, moving on. So, which superhero ability? This is a bit of a surprise. I know this came out of nowhere.
Okay.
Which superhero ability would you choose out of everything? I mean, you can make your own up if you like. So, what would you choose?
Okay. I'm gonna go based on DC, Marvel superheroes that already exist. I'm gonna use my favorite one. I have always been, before the movies, the MCU and all that, I've always been an Iron Man fan. And it's because the technological side. I'm a huge nerd. I've done tech stuff for a really, really long time. I worked in IT for a super long time. I've done crazy gimmicky BS on stream with hardware and cutting wires and splicing them together and stuff like that in the past. So the tech side of things has always been a huge appeal to me. So for me, Iron Man, including the entire like Demon in a Bottle storyline, I'll take the bad with the good. I'm fine with that. Iron Man's always been my favorite. And my chat is laughing. They're like, "Oh, you mean the power of being rich?" Shut up. You shut your mouth. All right. Yes, that is what. No, I'm kidding. I've always loved all of the tech that comes with Iron Man. It's just so friggin' cool to me. I have to ask, I'm gonna have to return this question to you. What about you?
Wow, I wasn't ready. Wow.
I'm asking you now.
I was not ready. I would say, oh man, I think a superpower, perhaps. Either it would have to be something for good. It would have to be like maybe healing power or something.
You're making me look like a dick.
Like, I want to be Iron Man, and I'm like, I want to be, the
the
savior of humanity. No, I think it would be like a healing power or something, or maybe something a little bit more lighthearted. It would be a power to just like entertain and distract people, and I'm so glad that you said previously how real life can be a real bitch sometimes. It can, right?
100%.
Being able to just distract people and entertain people for a couple of hours of their day, like I think that's a bit of a superpower in itself, and for me personally, my power would be just making someone's day better. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether that's through the stream or whether that's on here on the show or in a message or whatever it is. And I think I'd be like feel better guy if that was my superhero name. It'd be like feel better man or something. I think that
this is so. I asked you the question like, I just want to help people be happy. What about you, Loop? And I'm like, I'm a narcissist, so it's all about me. All about me, chat.
That's
God
not strictly
damn it,
true
Dan.
because you did ask me, you did return the question, so 99% about you, I'd say. For sure. Right. So let's move on to the next one. If you had a gin lamp, now this is a very important question, and I think my opinion of you will change depending on what you say.
God. Okay.
Are you a Witcher fan?
I am a Witcher fan. I've been watching the series on Netflix. I feel as though they've done a pretty damn good job for what is available. Why do you ask?
Well,
What's the follow up on this one?
if you had a gin